It is heavily rumored that Conor McGregor will be making his anticipated comeback at International Fight Week here in 2026, UFC 329, and it is heavily rumored that his opponent will be Max Holloway. And if you are a Conor McGregor fan, you should be very afraid. And if you're a Max Holloway fan, you should be very excited for this. Conor McGregor is 37 years old. He'll be a few days shy of 38 by the time UFC 329 comes around. And he is 1-3 in his last 4, with the sole win being against Donald Cerrone and losing twice to Dustin Poirier and once against Khabib Nurmagomedov. Conor hasn't fought since July of 2021, and it will be a 5-year layoff for Conor McGregor coming into the UFC 329 main event in July. And at this point in his career, Max Holloway is a terrible matchup for Conor McGregor, a 37, almost 38-year-old Conor McGregor. Max Holloway is 34 years old. He is much closer to his prime, if not still in his prime. He lost his last fight to Charles Oliveira, but Charles Oliveira would absolutely murder Conor McGregor inside the octagon. Before that, putting on an amazing performance against Dustin Poirier, who has 2 wins over Conor McGregor. And in that fight, Poirier was in the greatest shape of his life. Before that, he lost to Ilia Topuria by strikes, but that was in round 3. And after rewatching that fight, I feel as though Max was really turning it up and he was putting on a great performance against Topuria, considering what Topuria has done to these other guys in Alexander Volkanovski and Charles Oliveira. And before that, in his debut at 155 pounds, Max Holloway gave us the greatest moment in UFC history, knocking out Justin Gaethje in the last second of the 5th round in their BMF title fight at UFC 300. I feel as though Conor McGregor has been away from the game for too long, and since McGregor's last fight, Max Holloway has fought 8 times, putting on some of the best performances not only of his career, but in UFC history. Not only is this a terrible matchup for Conor due to their age and their career trajectory over the past several years, but I think it's a terrible matchup stylistically as well. Since fighting Floyd Mayweather in August of 2017, in the octagon, Conor McGregor has adopted much more of a boxing style game, being much more flat-footed and much more stuck in the mud than he was in his prime years when he was coming up in the featherweight division. And even in his fight against Eddie Alvarez at UFC 205, he had much more of a karate style, much more bouncy, light on his feet, swift, efficient, and all around just a much better style. And I believe a flat-footed, sluggish, hungry for landing power shots McGregor, coming off a 5-year layoff, is almost a free win against Max Holloway in 2026. At this point in their careers, I believe that Max Holloway clears Conor McGregor in almost every category. The boxing, the grappling, the cardio. I mean, the only thing that Conor may have an edge over him in is the power, and that literally may be it. I believe that Max Holloway would put a worse beating on Conor McGregor than he did even to Calvin Kattar and Brian Ortega. I think this would be the worst beating in UFC history. And I believe that this is a nightmare matchup for Conor McGregor, almost 38-year-old Conor McGregor in 2026. I feel like a much better matchup for him would be a guy like Jorge Masvidal, who's also been retired for a few years. Hasn't fought since, I believe, May of 2023 against Gilbert Burns, a guy who's kind of been sitting around eating for the past several years. Not really training, not really doing much. I feel like that's a much more winnable fight for Conor McGregor than a Max Holloway. Conor McGregor's manager is doing no favors for him getting him a Max Holloway fight. I believe that if Conor McGregor comes back, it should just be for fun fights. I don't think he's ever going to touch a UFC title ever again. He's not beating Makhachev. He's not beating Topuria. I don't even think he beats a Charles Oliveira or a Max Holloway. I believe a McGregor-Masvidal fight is something that should have happened in 2020. After Masvidal beat Nate Diaz and Conor McGregor beat Donald Cerrone in January of 2020, they should have put that fight together. That would have been a huge fight. Those two were arguably the biggest stars in the UFC at the time, and for some reason, the UFC fumbled it. They didn't want to make that fight. But here, 6 years later, I mean, that's a fight that could happen, and I believe that's a fight that should happen. I think it would still sell a lot of tickets. But I mean, as far as the Max Holloway versus Conor McGregor matchup, from a McGregor fan perspective, please don't make that fight. That's a terrible matchup for him, but as a Max Holloway fan myself, go ahead and make that fight. Max needs an easy win to come back to after his Charles Oliveira fight. It'd be a good fight for Max to get back in the win column. It'd be a big fight for both of these men. Max Holloway would make generational wealth off this fight, and it would be a fun fight. It wouldn't be a competitive fight, I don't think, but it would be a fun fight. It'd be a fun performance by Max Holloway. And so those are my thoughts. If you agree, please comment down below. Thank you for watching.